about our kids? Who's talking about the fact that pedophiles who are convicted or let out of prison so quickly? How many times are we seeing pedophile rings being busted? So we know the police are taken seriously. Every other day is another headline. So we see the hypersexualization of children, and there's not enough people that are standing up for that, as it's gross and it's scary, and we don't want to admit that it's happening everywhere. But the fact that we have elected officials here today willing to have this very disgusting conversation and very difficult conversation shows us that we're ready from the top down to change this. And I'm hoping that the next time we have one of these, we have thousands of people raising awareness. And again, the fact that we don't today is our call to all of us, since we're the only ones here, that we need to be just a little bit louder.
Which I fully understand is also very difficult to speak about and hear about. So today I'm leaving my comfort zone, and I want you all to leave your comfort zone for a brief day. I think that we can all agree that children are the most precious gift. Yes is right.
Yes, sir.
I say that because we, all of us, we bring them into this world. They don't ask to be brought in, we bring them. We have a duty to do our best to protect them. But sometimes things happen, even in the most stable and even in the most happiest of homes. Things that happen that are out of our control. So let's talk about a few facts, and these are global facts. Hard to hear facts. 1 in 10 children are sexually abused before the age of 18. 30% are abused by family members. It's believed that up to 60% are abused by someone the family knows. 30 to 35% of children sexually abused are under the age of 11, and some are even infants. So why am I addressing this? Because the consequences of child abuse to children and to our society begin immediately, and they are very long-lasting. 70 to 80% of sexual abuse survivors report excessive drug and alcohol abuse, and more than 60% of teen pregnancies are preceded by experiences of molestation, rape, or attempted rape. Sexually abused children who keep the abuse a secret, or worse yet, tell and are not believed, are at a greater risk of psychological, emotional, social, and physical obstacles, often lasting into their adulthood. So both males and females who've suffered child sexual abuse are more likely to engage in making choices that are both detrimental and dangerous to their physical and mental well-being. When 179 police departments were surveyed in 6 provinces, 78% of survivors knew the person that abused them. 50% said it was a friend or an acquaintance, and 28% said it was a family member. Those stats are absolutely frightening. Many sexual offenders don't even have a criminal record or a police record. Many have sexually assaulted hundreds of children, and you probably wouldn't even know it, given the low rate of disclosure. Because of this, many abusers are never identified, they are never convicted, and they are never sentenced. And we all know what happens when they actually do go to court, and that's what's truly shameful. And that's why when victims do come forward, they have the courage to tell us their story. We need to listen to them. We need to hear them, and most importantly, we need to support them. Because it's not easy to tell that story. It takes great strength and courage. And I commend those that have come forward. And William, I just want to say God bless you, because they talk about being careful with smaller communities. We are not immune. We need to stay diligent. It's been close to 15 years since the concern with human trafficking was officially recognized by our government. And the police forces and services across Ontario and Canada have now collectively recognized the urgency to take decisive steps to address the threat that it poses to our society. How do we change this? And what can we do so victims feel safe to be able to come forward and tell their story? There are many Niagara partners working together to fight against human trafficking and help those that are in need. The YWCA, Niagara Region, CARSA, the Niagara Regional Sexual Assault Center, the IEB, which is the NRP Investigation and Enforcement Bureau, Victim Services, the RAFT, Niagara Chapter of Native Women, Family and Children's Services, Canadian Mental Health Association, and the Kristen French Child Advocacy Center. And that's just to name a few. So if you ever doubted that we have great resources here in Niagara, don't doubt it. We do. We'll feel it. So my thoughts for anyone out here who is a survivor or even who may be experiencing this trauma in your life right now. And don't laugh. In the words of Tim Tebow, he's great. He is. Your value is not in your body. Your value is in your inherent God-given worth. So believe in yourself, love yourself, be all that you were meant to be. And my hope is that with supports offered here in Niagara, that you'll be able to take your experiences, as horrific and unbearable that they seem at times, and dig deep and garner the strength to use it to heal. And maybe, just maybe, be able to help someone else in your journey through healing. So remember that you are not alone, and we can walk this road together.
Save the children.
But we've been dealing with another health crisis besides the virus, and that is child sexual exploitation and abuse. And we need the same energy and determination we are showing to defeat the virus to defeat child sexual assault. Statistics around this, and they're startling, are 41% increase in child pornography since 2015, and a total increase of 233% since 2006. That's serious. But without a public and professional response that's coordinated, that's comprehensive, that's international, that works towards prevention, we know that children and youth will continue to experience troubles throughout their lives. Did you know a child who suffers abuse is 30% less likely to graduate from high school at the same time as his or her peers? Easily that makes the child isolated and vulnerable to predatory behavior. A youth who experiences child abuse in the home may run away and is 26 times more likely then to have a greater chance of homelessness and an increase in suicide attempts. And an adult who is abused by as a child or youth is 2 times as likely to be arrested and may engage in criminal activity as he or she struggles with drugs, alcohol, depression, or other mental health issues. The longer-term costs of abuse in Canada, in this country, is well over $15 billion per year in legal, social services, education, therapy, medical care, and personal costs to victims themselves. 1 in 3 Canadian children, our communities and homes are not safe. For sexual abuse in particular, the statistics are equally disturbing. You know that children make up 22% of our population, but comprise 55% of reported sexual assaults. Statistics Canada reported a 6% increase in violent sexual crime against children. Internet luring saw the highest increase since 2013. 1 in 3 girls and 1 in 6 boys experience some kind of unwanted sexual touch before the age of 18. And the age at which young girls are being groomed for future human sex trafficking has started as early as 11 and a half years old. The extent and frequency of violence and sexual assaults inflicted on innocent children is shocking. For far too long, child abuse has lived in silence and secrecy and shame. We deny it exists in our communities and families, but in fact, it knows no boundaries and crosses all backgrounds, walks of life, and cultures. If it's not yet clear to you, I want to emphasize that it is as much the family as the stranger that can inflict this trauma. In reviewing internet images of child sexual assault, the Canadian Centre for Child Protection found that 78% of the images were children involved under 12 years old, and 69% of those images appeared to be from home settings. The raw truth is that up to 97% of us, and yes, I'm a survivor as well, know our abusers to be from family, extended family members, friends, or people in positions of trust and authority over us. And those are the reported cases. For every case that's reported, there's a case that goes unreported. Let's be clear. Pedophilia is a disordered sexual attraction to children. And it's one thing to understand it and treat it, but it's quite another matter to obtain justice for those impacted for life by these abuse experiences. Because the nature of predatory behavior, whether by those known or by a stranger, is the element of grooming, that long-term process of gaining a child's trust, communities should not have to manage a comprehensive response to child sexual abuse alone.
It's disgusting. We're reading about it every day in the news. On one side of the coin, that's bad. On the other side of the coin, that's good. We got to keep the conversation going.
All kinds of historic examples in Ontario and in Canada. Shortly after I was elected, I was approached by a number of people who were victims of exploitation in training schools. And I don't know if some of you have heard of training schools, but these gentlemen were in their late 50s, early 60s, and as teenagers they were sent to training schools for very minor offenses and suffered horrible sexual and physical abuse, and still to this day struggling to deal with that abuse. And not only them, but anyone who's a victim will tell you how the families suffer, and their children to this day are still suffering because of the family situations that they had to endure as their parents struggled to deal with this damage throughout their entire lives. And what gives them some relief is actually what the Sully movement is doing, which is shining a light on that exploitation and making sure that these institutions are transparent, because the longer it's hidden, the longer it will take people to heal, and the harder it is for us to prevent this happening from people in the future. So it's absolutely fantastic work that they're doing. They know that I fully support them. They've done a great job getting signatures, and I hope they continue to do that. And I'm very proud to be your MPP and to have people like this in my community that are fighting issues like this, and so they'll always have my support. The most shocking statistic that I've learned is right here in our own community in Niagara. The Niagara Regional Police report that they deal with at least one call for sexual physical exploitation and abuse of children every single day. A call every single day in Niagara alone. So that's a shocking statistic, and there's a lot more work that we need to do. So thank you to all of the organizations and not-for-profits that are doing such important work. Thank you to the Sully movement, and thank you for having me here today. Thank you, merci, and miigwech.
Hi everybody, I'm April Jeffs, and I'm here today to support this important cause. And I was just saying to somebody earlier that it's so important to keep this in the spotlight, because I think if we don't talk about it, it tends to be forgotten. And there's been so much attention lately, and it's so important to keep this, like I say, in the spotlight, raise awareness, and really do what you can, do your part to help fight against this terrible, terrible issue.